Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You're surrounded by voices. Criticism, judgment, fear, negativity, they're all shouting at once. People telling you what you can't do, what you're not capable of, what you don't deserve. And deep inside, you feel your chest tighten. Your mind races, your heart pounds. Now, imagine something radical. Imagine choosing not to react. Imagine standing still in the eye of the storm, unshaken, calm. Not because you're numb, not because you're weak, but because you've discovered a truth so few ever grasp. Your silence is more powerful than their noise. Think about it. Every time you react to someone's anger, their criticism, their manipulation, you give them power. Every time you argue, defend, or explain yourself, you expend energy that belongs to you. But when you stop, when you pause, when you choose silence, something shifts. The chaos loses its grip. Their noise, their attempts to control you, they fall flat. This is not about avoidance. It's about mastery. It's about realizing that your true strength doesn't come from fighting every battle. It comes from owning yourself, owning your energy, and letting your silence speak louder than any words they could ever throw at you. And today, I want to take you on a journey through silence, through presence, through the incredible power that is quietly waiting inside you. When the world around you screams, it is almost impossible to hear yourself. Voices of judgment, criticism, doubt, and expectation collide in every corner of your mind, demanding attention, demanding reaction. And if you allow them, they can pull you in every direction, leaving you dizzy, confused, and exhausted. Yet, there is a profound truth that very few people ever grasp. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is the fertile soil from which clarity grows. When you create a space of quiet within yourself, you are no longer at the mercy of the chaos around you. Instead, you begin to see, you begin to understand, and in that understanding lies the power to reshape your life. Think about it. How often do we allow external noise to dictate our inner world? We listen to the opinions of others, we worry about what people might think, and we get trapped in cycles of reaction. Every argument we engage in, every defense we mount, every explanation we offer drains energy from our mind and heart. It is like a storm inside us, a whirlwind of confusion that blinds us to our own potential. But when we choose silence, when we stop reacting, something extraordinary begins to happen. The storm begins to settle, the clouds of distraction and doubt part, and suddenly clarity emerges. Silence gives you space to notice the patterns that have been running your life unconsciously. It allows you to see the behaviors, habits, and choices that no longer serve you, the cycles that keep repeating, the fears that keep you tethered to mediocrity. In silence, you begin to observe yourself as if from a distance, and in that observation, you gain understanding. You see the triggers that provoke you, the moments when your energy is stolen, the times when you've allowed others' voices to determine your reality. Awareness is the first step to freedom. And silence is the doorway to that awareness. I want you to imagine for a moment sitting alone in complete quiet. No phone, no notifications, no distractions, just you and your thoughts. At first, it might feel uncomfortable. Your mind may resist, old fears may surface, but if you stay, if you sit with it, you will start to hear the whispers that have been drowned out by the chaos, the small nudges, the deep desires, the truths about yourself that you've been avoiding. In that quiet, clarity is born. You begin to understand who you really are, what you truly want, and the direction your life is meant to take. And here is the crucial point. This clarity does not come from thinking more, from analyzing endlessly, or from seeking advice from outside. It comes from the stillness, from letting go of the need to react, from allowing your inner mind to emerge from the fog of external noise. Every great decision, every profound insight, every moment of transformation begins in this space of silence. The mind that has been cluttered with reactions, opinions, and distractions begins to organize itself. Ideas that were invisible in the chaos suddenly become clear. Solutions that seemed impossible appear, and you realize that all along the answers were inside you, waiting for the noise to stop, waiting for you to be still enough to hear them. Silence also teaches you patience. When you stop reacting, you learn that life does not have to be rushed, that outcomes do not have to be immediate, and that understanding takes time. In the quiet, you become comfortable with being present, with observing without judgment, with allowing things to unfold naturally. And as this patience develops, so does a deeper sense of self-trust. You begin to trust your own perceptions, your own intuition, your own timing. The chaos outside no longer dictates your inner state because you have found a grounded center within yourself. The more you embrace silence, the more powerful it becomes. It is in these quiet moments that you start to recognize the patterns that govern not just your behavior, but the very energy you bring into every interaction. You notice how some people drain you, how some conversations leave you unsettled, and how some environments make it impossible to think clearly. Silence allows you to reclaim your power. It allows you to decide where your attention goes, who gets your energy, and what battles are truly worth engaging in. In that stillness, you are no longer reacting to the world. You are responding from a place of clarity, strength, and purpose. And so, the next time the world tries to pull you into chaos, the next time voices scream at you demanding reaction, remember this. Silence is not weakness, is not submission. It is the quiet space where clarity is born, where your inner wisdom emerges, and where the path to your highest potential begins to reveal itself. When you master the art of being still amidst noise, you gain the ability to see clearly, to act intentionally, and to create a life that is truly aligned with who you are meant to become. The world is full of people who try to control you through noise, criticism, gossip, manipulation, and relentless opinions. They are everywhere designed to pull you off your center, to provoke a reaction, to make you small in their presence. Most people fall for it. They argue, they defend, they explain, they react. And in doing so, they give their energy, their power, their life force to someone else. But there is a profound truth that almost no one realizes. Their noise only has power over you if you let it. And when you embrace silence, when you refuse to react, you reclaim that power and something extraordinary happens. The very force they relied on to control you becomes ineffective. Think about it. How many times have you felt anger rising inside you? Frustration boiling over, or the need to argue and prove yourself? How many times have you given someone else's words the power to steal your peace, your focus, your energy? Every reaction, every defensive statement, every attempt to prove yourself validates the noise. It says, yes, you matter. Yes, your opinion controls me. But the moment you stop, the moment you refuse to react, everything changes. Their words lose their grip. Their attacks bounce off you. Their attempts to shake you crumble into nothingness. Silence becomes a shield, a sanctuary, and a weapon all at once. There is a story I want you to imagine. A young man in a workplace is constantly undermined by colleagues. Every day someone tries to belittle him, to criticize him in front of others, to make him feel small. At first he fights back, he explains himself, he argues, he tries to defend his reputation, but no matter what he says, the attacks continue. Every reaction fuels the fire, and then one day he decides to stop. He chooses silence, he doesn't respond, he doesn't defend, he doesn't explain, he simply continues his work with focus and excellence. Over time, the energy shifts. The people who once tried to control him realize their words no longer have effect. Their power was in his reaction, and when he stopped reacting, the power vanished. The very noise that once seemed overwhelming now becomes meaningless. This is not about passivity. Silence is not submission. Silence is mastery. It is the conscious choice to no longer allow external chaos to dictate your internal state. It is the recognition that the only power you truly have is the power over yourself, your attention, your emotions, your energy. When you stop reacting to the noise of others, you stop giving them the ability to control your life. And this is one of the most liberating experiences a human being can have, to know that no words, no criticism, no attempts at manipulation can reach you unless you allow them to. Silence also teaches you discernment. When you are no longer reacting to every voice, every opinion, every judgment, you begin to see clearly who deserves your energy and who does not. You begin to understand the difference between constructive feedback and destructive noise. You start to recognize which battles are worth engaging in and which are traps meant to drain you. In this clarity, you gain a strategic advantage over those who rely on chaos because you are no longer predictable. You are no longer driven by their agenda. You are driven by your own purpose. And here is the deeper truth. Silence is contagious. When you remain calm, composed, and unshaken, it changes the energy of the room. People feel it. The world feels it. Your presence becomes a statement louder than words, a demonstration of power that cannot be argued with or attacked. The very people who try to provoke you now encounter resistance, not physical, not aggressive, but energetic. They realize, often subconsciously, that their attempts at control are meaningless. And in that realization, you begin to shift not only your life, but the energy around you. So the next time someone tries to pull you into conflict, the next time words are thrown at you like weapons, remember this: silence is your most powerful response. It is the force that neutralizes attacks, the strategy that reclaims your energy, the choice that allows you to rise above chaos. By not reacting, you do not surrender, you master. By remaining calm, you do not retreat, you conquer. And in this mastery, you discover a freedom that is impossible to achieve through argument, through debate, or through noise. Your silence is a declaration that you are no longer controlled by the opinions of others, that you are no longer bound by the chaos around you, that your life, your energy, your destiny belongs to you alone. And once you realize this, once you embody it fully, you begin to walk through the world not as a victim of noise, but as a master of your own presence, unshakable, unstoppable, and completely free. Every moment you spend reacting to the noise around you is a moment your energy is drained, a moment your power is scattered. Every argument, every attempt to justify yourself, every second spent defending your worth consumes the life force that should belong to you and you alone. And yet most people do not see this. They are trapped in the illusion that engaging, proving, or fighting will protect them, when in truth it depletes. But when you embrace silence, when you consciously refuse to give away your energy, something extraordinary happens. You reclaim it. You reclaim the power that allows you to create, to focus, and to live in alignment with your true purpose. Energy is the most valuable currency you possess. It is the source of your creativity, your focus, your resilience, and your ability to shape your reality. When you react impulsively to every insult, every judgment, every challenge, you are effectively giving that energy away. You are handing over your strength to people and situations that have no right to it. And this is why silence is so radical. It preserves your energy. It redirects it. It transforms it from a reactive force into a creative one. Imagine a man who is constantly criticized at work. Every day, colleagues whisper, bosses question, and circumstances seem designed to provoke him. In the beginning, he reacts, he argues, he defends, he tries to explain himself. Every reaction burns a piece of his energy, leaving him exhausted, frustrated, and defeated by the end of the day. Then one day, he makes a choice. He stops responding. He stops reacting. He focuses his energy instead on mastering his craft, on doing his work with excellence, on developing skills that will take him beyond the reach of petty criticism. Slowly, he notices something remarkable. The very people who tried to drain him now have nothing to draw from. Their words no longer touch him. Their efforts to destabilize him fail. And the energy he once gave away freely is now available to him for creation, for growth, for transformation. This is the essence of the power that comes from silence. By refusing to expend energy on reaction, you reclaim it for yourself. You begin to notice where your energy is going, and you begin to direct it intentionally toward the things that truly matter. Your vision, your goals, your purpose. Silence allows you to conserve what is precious and redirect it toward creation rather than destruction, toward building rather than defending, toward living rather than surviving. And here's the deeper truth. Energy flows where attention goes. When you are focused on reacting to every outside stimulus, your energy is scattered. When you redirect your attention inward, when you focus on your goals, your dreams, your growth, your energy becomes concentrated, potent, and transformative. It is in silence that the mind, body, and spirit align, that your internal power is magnified, and that the life you have been imagining begins to take shape. Silence also opens the door to resilience. When you are no longer reacting to every provocation, every insult, every attempt to destabilize you, you build an inner strength that cannot be broken by external forces. The energy you save becomes armor, it becomes momentum, becomes a fuel that allows you to persist, to push beyond obstacles, and to thrive in environments that would overwhelm someone who is reactive. In this way, silence is not passive, it is dynamic. It is the active choice to conserve, to harness, and to amplify your energy for the things that truly matter. Moreover, this reclaimed energy is transformative not just for you, but for the world around you. When you act from a place of calm, focus, and purpose, your energy shifts the energy in your environment. You become a force of presence, a source of clarity, a magnet for opportunities, solutions, and alignment. People are drawn to your power not because you shout, argue, or demand attention, but because your energy speaks volumes. Silence, when wielded, consciously transforms your life and the lives of those around you. So the next time you feel the urge to react, to defend, to argue, pause. Remember that every reaction is energy spent. Remember that the life force you waste on defending yourself can instead be poured into creation, into growth, into the vision of the life you desire. The more you embrace silence, the more your energy becomes yours. The more it fuels your purpose, your power, and your ability to manifest the extraordinary. In this mastery of energy, silence becomes not just a choice, but a superpower, the quiet force that builds your dreams while the world remains lost in chaos. There is a voice inside you that has been whispering all along. It is subtle, often drowned out by the constant demands of the world, the opinions of others, the chaos that surrounds you. Most people never hear it, or if they do not trust it. They allow the noise of life to overpower it, to dictate their actions, to cloud their intuition. But silence changes everything. Silence is the amplifier of your inner voice. When you step into stillness, when you stop reacting to the outside world, you open a channel to the deepest truths of your being, the guidance that has always been waiting for you, the direction your life is meant to take. Think about it. How often have you felt pulled in directions that didn't feel right? How often have you followed the advice of others? The expectations imposed on you, the judgments that seemed convincing at the time, only to realize later that it led you nowhere. That confusion, that frustration, it comes from ignoring your inner voice. It comes from allowing external noise to dominate your decisions, your energy, your life. But when you cultivate silence, when you allow yourself to stop reacting and start listening, something extraordinary happens. You begin to hear the quiet guidance that has always been within you. I want you to imagine a young woman who is constantly surrounded by criticism and opinion. At school, at work, even at home, voices are telling her who she should be, what she should do, how she should act. For years she reacts. She argues, she explains, she tries to please, she tries to defend herself. Her life is full of noise, full of distraction, full of external influence. And then one day she decides to stop. She decides to step back, to stop reacting, to embrace silence. At first it is uncomfortable. She feels exposed, uncertain, even afraid. But gradually, as she sits in stillness, she begins to hear something she has never heard before, her own voice. It is quiet, steady, unshakable. It tells her what she wants, what she values, what she deserves, and slowly she begins to follow it. Slowly her decisions become aligned with her true self. Slowly her life begins to shift. Silence allows your inner voice to rise above the chaos because it creates space for your intuition, your awareness, and your clarity to be heard. When you are not constantly reacting, when you are not overwhelmed by external pressures, your mind becomes a receptive field. Ideas, inspiration, solutions, and opportunities flow to you effortlessly. The guidance that seemed impossible to access amidst noise now emerges naturally. You begin to act with intentionality, not out of fear or reaction, but out of understanding, alignment, and purpose. And here is the profound truth. The more you listen to your inner voice, the stronger it becomes. The more you trust it, the more confident you become in your decisions, and the less you are swayed by the chaos around you. Silence trains you to distinguish between what is important and what is distraction, what is truth and what is manipulation, what is your path and what belongs to someone else. Every moment spent in stillness strengthens your connection to your own guidance, creating a foundation of self. Trust that no external noise can shake. Silence also changes the way you interact with the world. When you act from your inner guidance rather than reacting to external pressure, your actions carry power, authenticity, and influence. People notice. Opportunities appear. Challenges are met with clarity rather than confusion. Your life begins to flow in a way that was impossible when your attention was scattered. The inner voice you cultivate through silence becomes the compass that directs your energy, your choices, and your destiny. So when the world is loud, when opinions, judgments, and chaos surround you, remember this. Your inner voice is always there, quietly waiting, ready to guide you, but it can only be heard when you stop reacting. When you step into silence, when you choose stillness over noise, the more you practice listening, the more it becomes impossible for the world to distract you. The more your actions align with your highest potential, and the more powerful your presence becomes. Silence is not just absence of sound. It is the presence of guidance. It is the amplification of your own truth. It is the channel through which your highest self speaks. When you embrace it, your life begins to move not according to the chaos outside, but according to the clarity inside. Your inner voice, once drowned out, now leads, now inspires, now creates. And in that you discover a power far greater than anything the world could ever shout at you. Sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is the one you do not speak. Sometimes the most profound action is the one that requires no explanation, no justification, no defense. The world is full of people trying to prove themselves through noise, through shouting, arguing, competing, and demanding attention. But true power does not need to announce itself. True strength is quiet. True presence does not need words because it communicates on a level far deeper than language. Your silence is a statement louder than anything that can be said. Think about a mountain standing tall amidst a storm. It does not yell. It does not fight the wind. It does not need to prove that it exists. Yet, everyone sees it. Everyone feels its presence. Everyone respects it. Your silence can be the same when you remain calm, composed, and unshakable in the face of chaos. It communicates confidence, authority, and resilience. The world takes notice. People feel it even if they cannot put it into words. You do not have to argue or explain yourself for your presence to be recognized. Silence has a language of its own, a language that speaks directly to the human spirit. I want you to imagine a man who is constantly surrounded by critics. Every day, someone attempts to undermine him to provoke a reaction to make him feel small. For years, he fights back. He argues, he explains, he tries to defend himself. He believes that if he can just convince them, if he can just respond with the right words, he will regain control. But nothing changes. The noise persists. And then one day, he decides to stop. He stops reacting. He stops defending. He stops explaining. He simply continues to live his life with focus, integrity, and calm. Over time, the people who once tried to provoke him begin to notice something remarkable. His silence is stronger than their noise. The more they try to push, the less they succeed. His presence becomes a statement unshakable and undeniable, louder than any argument they could ever make. Silence communicates mastery. It communicates that you are not controlled by the chaos outside. It communicates that your energy, your attention, your life is yours and yours alone. And the more you embody this stillness, the more people around you are forced to recognize it. The attempts to provoke, to belittle, to manipulate fail because they rely on your reaction. When that reaction is withheld, their power evaporates. Silence becomes a shield, a declaration, and a force that cannot be matched by words alone. Moreover, silence amplifies your impact because it forces the world to adjust to you rather than you adjusting to it. When you are quiet, calm, and composed, your presence demands attention. Actions become more powerful than words. Decisions become more deliberate. Energy becomes concentrated. People notice the confidence, the strength, the authority in your stillness. You no longer need to fight for recognition. You no longer need to shout to be heard. Your silence communicates with precision and influence that words often cannot match. And here is the deeper truth. Silence is contagious. When you embody it, it shifts the energy around you. People instinctively respond to calm, strength, and clarity. Chaos loses momentum in your presence. Criticism loses its edge. The noise becomes background, and your actions, your presence, your life speak louder than the chaos could ever hope to. In this way, silence is not passive. It is one of the most powerful forms of action. It is the ultimate strategy, the highest form of influence, the truest display of mastery. So the next time you are surrounded by noise, criticism, or chaos, remember this. You do not need to fight. You do not need to argue. You do not need to justify. Your presence, your calm, your silence communicates far more than any words ever could. It tells the world that you are unshakable, that you are confident, that you are in control of your life and your energy. It tells the world that beyond the need for validation, beyond the reach of manipulation, and fully align with your own power. Your silence is your voice. Your silence is your authority. Your silence is your statement to the world that you are not defined by their noise, but by your own unshakable presence. When you master this, you transcend the chaos. You rise above the noise, and in that mastery, you discover a power that is more profound, more influential, and more unstoppable than anything you could ever achieve through words alone. So now you understand the truth. Your silence is not weakness. It is clarity. It is power. It is energy reclaimed. It is the voice of your inner guidance amplified. The presence that speaks louder than words, the force that neutralizes chaos, criticism, and negativity. When you stop reacting to the noise around you, You stop giving others the power to control your life. When you embrace stillness, you create space for clarity, focus, and growth. When you act from your inner voice, your life aligns with your highest purpose. Silence is not passive. It is mastery. It is the quiet strength that transforms you from reactive to intentional, from distracted to focused, from ordinary to unstoppable. The world may try to drown you in chaos, to pull you into conflict, to steal your energy. But when you remain calm, composed, and unshakable, you rise above it all. Your silence becomes your statement. Your presence becomes your power, and your life becomes your greatest declaration. So today, I want you to make a choice. Choose silence over noise. Choose presence over reaction. Choose your power over their chaos. Let your quiet strength transform your mind, your energy, and your life. And remember, every moment you spend mastering your silence is a moment you reclaim control over your destiny. If this message touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Because together, as we embrace the power of silence, we rise above the noise. We reclaim our energy, and we create lives of unstoppable power and purpose.